Haribol, Hare Krishna, everybody. Either you watch us live or the rebroadcast on YouTube. Today on my calendar is Mohini Murti's Ekadashi, and many people on social media, they ask me to give some reference on the Ekadashis, and Prabhupada never, like, I don't recall Prabhupada really going into like the different Ekadashis which are there. There's so many. He never really went into all these stories. He didn't emphasize that. But this one Ekadashi does, I mean, it's not an Ekadashi, but it appears, the story of Mohini Murti does appears in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I remember specifically Chase Prabhu, he was asking us in a few last sessions to relate to some Ekadashi. So Chase Prabhu, maybe if you watch this video, you will be satisfied with this this lecture. It's not exactly a lecture. What we're going to do, we're going to be just reading across from the 8th canto, 9th chapter. The Lord incarnates as Mohini Murti. Yesterday, Bhakti Priyal Devi, she gave a class about womanhood and Krishna consciousness and the role of a woman. Very inspiring. You can check it out in the previous video. Maybe we can even link it in the cards or on the top, wherever it is. So this is God incarnates as a woman, and he sort of gives an example. I mean, God's incarnations, they just set an example, like that's one of the features. So we're going to celebrate Narasimha Dev, Appearance Day. So in each incarnation, God acts as the Acharya, just like we call Srila Prabhupada an Acharya. So one who teaches by example. So the Lord too, he commonly teaches by example. Why? Because we all want to imitate. We all want to imitate each other, or someone we like, or someone we adore, or someone we whatever. And ultimately we want to imitate God. So God, to retaliate that, he devised a trick. He is a trickster. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that from amongst the gambling, I'm the cheater, or something like that. So he devised this ultimate cheating tactic that he comes here and he shows us, oh, okay, you want to be, I don't know, something. So I'm going to be like that or whatever. And yeah, it's another nice pastime. Who has the book, we're going to go in like a circle, I guess, or whatever. You have already? Yeah?
What is it?
It's 8th canto, 9th chapter. If you want to read, not obligatory. Reading, we're not pushing. Prabhupada, I think he says we can push chanting and prasadam. Otherwise, don't push. Maybe Kim, I think Kim, you have the whole set in one volume, right? You told me, so you will be ready to read, I think.
Yeah, but definitely, but I couldn't hear. So you said Canto 9, Chapter 8?
The other way around. 8th Canto, 9th chapter. I put it in the chat. The Lord incarnates as Mohini Murti. This pastime actually, I'm not sure if Prabhupada mentions that in the beginning on the introduction, but Mohini, she carries the nectar, the container of nectar that was churned from the mountain. And it's interesting how yesterday's lecture too was sort of about this propensity of a woman to contain the nectar, the pleasure potency. So God himself, Krishna himself, he carries this nectar, and then there's like a weird dynamic there between the demons and the demigods. And before that, they were using this big snake. Krishna says among serpents, Ashuki, Vasuki, yes, among serpents, this big snake, Vasuki or something like that. So they're using Vasuki, and the demons took one side. I'm forgetting which side they took. I think they took the tail or the head.
No,
the head. Yeah, they took some side which doesn't make sense.
They didn't want to take the tail because it was the dirty and where the feet are at. So they wanted to take the head,
which is dangerous.
Yeah, and I think Krishna, I can't remember anyway. I think Krishna told them to try to take the head. And
he tricked them.
Would want to take the head, and then they get up there and they ended up getting roasted by him because he breathes fire.
Yeah, so Krishna from the very beginning, he was tricking the demigods, demons. And okay, let's read about it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
This chapter describes how the demons, being enchanted by the beauty of the Mohini form, agreed to hand over the container of nectar to Mohini Devi, who tactfully delivered it to the demigods. When the demons got possession of the container of nectar, an extraordinary, beautiful young woman appeared before them. All the demons became captivated by the young woman's beauty and became attached to her. Now, because the demons were fighting amongst themselves to possess the nectar, they selected this beautiful woman as a mediator to settle their quarrel. What a great plan, eh? Taking advantage of their weakness in this regard, Mohini, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, got the demons to promise that whatever decision she might give, they would not refuse to accept it. There's so many like similar pastimes like that. I remember with King Ramachandra's father, oh my God, the Ramachandra Dasarat. Thank you, Prabhu. You say I own you, Ladu.
Your own father.
My Lord's father. Yeah. So the Maharaj Dasarat too. He promised something to his wife, and part of the promise was that she's going to ask something and he will not be able to refuse it later. So it's like a repetition that I see in the Bhagavatam. When the demons made this promise, the beautiful woman Mohini Murti had the demigods and the demons seat in different lines so she could distribute the nectar. She knew that the demons were quite unfit to drink the nectar. Therefore, by cheating them, she distributed all the nectar to the demigods, When the demons saw this cheating of Mohini Murti, they remained silent. But one demon, it's good, it's all good, Prabhu.
Where is it coming from?
I think Kim had the problem, but she fixed it. But one demon named Rahu dressed himself as a demigod, sat down in the line of the demigods. He sat beside the sun and the moon. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead understood that Rahu was cheating, he immediately cut off the demon's head, Rahu. However, had already tested the nectar, and therefore, although his head was severed, he remained alive. After the demigods finished drinking the nectar, the Supreme Personality of Godhead assumed his own form. Shukadeva Goswami ends this chapter by describing how powerful is the chanting of the holy names, Hari Bol, pastimes and paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Agyantarinandasyam Gyanashala Shalakaya Chakshu Naminita Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We were born in the darkness of ignorance, and our spiritual master is divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, kindly open our darkened eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. We offer humble obeisances to his lotus feet. Jai Prabhupada. So before we continue, I don't know how far we're going to get into this chapter, how deep, but I did wanted to mention that there's nothing illustrative about the Vedic explanation of even the cosmology, and we're going to get to the point, it's a spoiler, I know, I'm sorry, that the eclipse and all the actually relation between the moon and the sun and the casting of the shadow on the moon, it's not a direct reflection or whatever they call it in modern cosmology, but it's actually another planet in its subtle form. Rahu is in subtle form which cannot be perceived by just gross senses, and it's a big head of a demon. Sounds wild, I know, but yes, this is the Vedic paradigm of where we're living in, and even if we accept it theoretically, it can help us so much to understand really the in-depth meaning of all these great pastimes. If I can share something personally about this line, what happens to me when I read about this Rahu thing, like in my astrological chart, Rahu is like one of the quadruple houses, and my devotional service actually started from my Rahu period, and I always all the time reflect on this pastime as like, what is the meaning of me becoming a devotee in this period, and why, like, am I like Rahu, am I a pretender, and all these different things. So That's something that happens to me every time that I hear about it. And yeah, I welcome you all along the reading or the comment section later on in the rebroadcast to say what happens to you in regards to this pastime. Maybe you have some personal revelation, realization in that aspect of your life hearing this. So
I've read that it actually, Rahu there's an element of it seeking spiritual knowledge.
He's like a spiritual dude. Okay.
There's that element there. He's also kind of like creates a murderous mentality in certain situations also, but an aspect of the planet is seeking spiritual knowledge.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can chant the Sanskrit all together. You can join us. And not going to go through the word by word. And maybe one of you after would like to read the next verse. Shri Shuka Uvacha Tenlayato Shurya Pataram Hartas Taktva Sadodaha Kshepato Dasya Dharmana Anyatim Dhoshu Striyam. Maybe Bhakti Keith, you have the book ready, right? So you can read the verse.
Translation, Shukadev Goswami said, therefore the demons became inimical toward one another, throwing and snatching the container of nectar. They gave up their friendly relationship. Meanwhile, they saw a very beautiful young woman coming forward toward them.
Text number 2. Aho rupa maho dama aho asya navamvaya iti tam abhidarutya pa prachur jatahir shichayam. Maybe we can set up a circle. Kim will be number 1, George will be number 2, and maybe Brielle number 3, and Dinkle. I don't know if Dinkle will be able to read with us. Maybe he's occupied, but Brielle will be number 3. Kim, would you like to read the next verse?
Yes. Upon seeing the beautiful woman, the demon said, alas, how wonderful is her beauty, how wonderful the luster of her body, and how wonderful the beauty of her youthful age. Speaking in this way, they quickly approached her, full of lusty desire to enjoy her, and began to inquire from her in many ways.
Gatvam kandyak palakshashi kutuvakim chirikshashi kshayashi vadavamoru matanaitaiva manas mamshinaha. Bhakta George, Prabhu. If you have the text. Text number 3. Or, okay, Brielle, maybe if you're ready, you can read text number 3, maybe.
Oh,
George,
wonderfully beautiful girl, you have such nice eyes resembling the petals of a lotus flower. Who are you? Where do you come from? What is your purpose in coming here, and to whom do you belong? O you whose thighs are extraordinarily beautiful, our minds are becoming agitated simply because of seeing you. And the purport too?
Yeah, please.
The demons inquired from the wonderfully beautiful girl, to whom do you belong? A woman is supposed to belong to her father before her marriage, to her husband after her marriage, and to her grown sons in her old age. In regard to this inquiry, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the question, to whom do you belong, means, whose daughter are you? Since the demons could understand that the beautiful girl was still unmarried, every one of them desired to marry her. Thus they inquired, whose daughter are you?
Prabhupada gives us some glimpse into Vishwanath Chakravarti's behind the scenes. It's happened so much in the Bhagavatam, and it's such a fortune to have that through Prabhupada. Text number 4. Navayam tvamarir ditya siddha gandharva charanahi nas prishta purvam janimo lokishascha kuto nirbha. Tinkle, Prabhu?
I can't read. I don't have a book.
No problem. That's okay. I can actually share the screen if you like.
No, don't worry about it.
No worries. I hope that you enjoyed the reading with us. That's the most
That's
important.
good. That's good.
Hearing.
I
Hearing.
can read if you want.
Yes. Pour some nectar in our ears, Dr. George Prabhu.
So translation, what to speak of human beings, even the demigods, demons, siddhas, gandharvas, charanas, and the various directors of the universe, the prajapatis, have never touched you before. It is not that we are unable to understand your identity. And purport here, it says, even the asuras observe the etiquette that no one should address a married woman with lust. The great analyst Chanakya Pandita says, "Mat one should consider another's wife to be one's mother." The asuras, the demons, took it for granted that the beautiful young woman, Mohini Murti, who had arrived before them, was certainly not married. Therefore, they assumed that no one in the world, including the demigods, the Gandharvas, the Charanas, and the Siddhas, had ever touched her. The demons knew that the young girl was unmarried, and therefore they dared to address her. They supposed that the young girl, Mohini Murti, had come there to find a husband among all those present, the Daityas, the demigods, the Gandharvas, and so on.
Yeah, in the Vedic, what comes from me is that, the Vedic paradigm, a woman, she's not just luring around the street, for no reason. If someone sees a woman that she goes just without any protection, in Puranjans, there is a Leela about Puranjan, where in the city of the 9 gates and things like that. And it's true, it's a dynamic between a man and a woman and how they interact between each other in different circumstances, in the nature, in the city. It's a very, very descriptive pastime in the 4th canto. So yeah, in the Vedic culture, if a woman just walks around alone, people immediately they assume, oh, she's looking for someone. She's looking for a husband. And there's no, yeah, like that. Text number 5. Nonyam tvad vidhina subraha parishtishta sharinanam sarve dira manaha pritim vadatum sagrane nakim. I think it's or no? Yeah. I'm gonna.
Okay.
And then Keith, and then we start the cycle again. Kim number 1, Brielle, she will be 2, and George 3. Okay. Oh, beautiful girl with beautiful eyebrows, certainly Providence, by his causeless mercy, has sent you to please the senses and the minds of all of us. Is this not the effect? Text number 6. Satvam naha sparadhananam eka vastuni manini Gyatinam badavaranam samvidhastva samadhyame.
We are now all engaged in enmity among ourselves because of this one subject matter, the container of nectar. Although we have been born in the same family, we are becoming increasingly inimical. O thin, wasted woman, who are so beautiful in your prestigious position, we therefore request you to favor us by settling our dispute. Purport: the demons understood that the beautiful woman had attracted the attention of them all. Therefore, they unanimously requested her to become the arbiter and settle their dispute.
Yeah, Krishna didn't even have to propose to them to help them, so-called. They themselves, out of their foolishness, they asked her to settle the dispute. Unanimously? What does it mean? Interesting. Text number 7.
Unanimously, you were asking?
Yeah.
I think it means like they all are asking the same, like they want the same thing. Like at the same time, they're asking the same thing.
And what does it mean in this context? You say?
Like they all agree,
Yeah.
all at once, are saying yes, we accept her to make the decision to give out the nectar.
Okay, can go forward. Vayam kshapadha bharata krita posha vibha jasva yata niyam naiva bidho yata bhavet. Kim?
Yes. Translation. All of us, both demons and demigods, have been born of the same father, Kasyapu. And thus we are related to brothers, but now we are exhibiting our personal prowess in dissension. Therefore, we request you to settle our dispute and divide the nectar equally among us.
Text 8. Iti upamanyati tito ditair maya yoshid vapur harya parahasya rochira pankir nirikshan idam abravit.
Having thus been requested by the demons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had assumed the form of a beautiful woman, began to smile. Looking at them with attractive feminine gestures, she spoke as follows.
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Katam Kashyapa Dhadaha Pumsha Chayamai Stagda Vishvasham Pantito Jatu Kaminshu Yad Nayatihi. Bhakti George Prabhu?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the form of Mohini, told the demons, O sons of Kasyapa Muni, I am only a prostitute. How is it that you have so much faith in me? A learned person never puts his faith in a woman.
God became a prostitute.
Purport. Sanakya Pandita, the great politician.
The video like this, God became a prostitute. Let me know which title you would like to give to this session. Yeah, sorry, George. Please continue.
Chanakya Pandita, the great politician and moral instructor, said, Visvaso naiva kartavya shrishu rajata kuleshu cha. Never put your faith in a woman or a politician. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was pretending to be a woman, warned the demons against putting so much faith in her, for she had prepared as an attractive woman ultimately to cheat them. Indirectly disclosing the purpose for which she had appeared before them, she said to the sons of Kasyapa, How is this? You were all born of a great rishi, yet you are putting your faith in a woman, loitering here and there like a prostitute, unprotected by father or husband. Women, in general, should not be trusted, and what to speak of a woman loitering like a prostitute? The word kamini is significant in this connection. Women, especially beautiful young women, invoke the dormant lusty desires of a man. Therefore, according to Manu Samhita, every woman should be protected, either by her husband, by her father, or by her grown sons. Without such protection, a woman will be exploited. Indeed, women like to be exploited by men. As soon as a woman is exploited by a man, she becomes a common prostitute. This is explained by Mohini Murti, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
I stopped counting the triggering aspects of this verse to the beautiful gender at like 5 or 6. So since we have some devotees in Mataji body, in woman's body, I don't know what is going on for you, Kim, Brielle, when you hear all these things like woman cannot be trusted and don't trust a woman or a politician. Like woman and a politician, it's like politician for me. It's a duplicity, right? Someone who is duplicitous. He just wants the votes and he promises something and it never happens. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's a little hard to take, but I guess I
Trigger.
think there's reality there, you know. I think there's always maybe with a young woman and maybe men, there's like something going on that's, whether they want it to be or not, there's some kind of an attraction and therefore a desire for something. And so, yeah, I can kind of see it. You can follow it and see what he means by that. I don't know, you know. And then the other part,
blaming the men.
I blame the men. Huh, that's funny. Yeah, if you kind of look at what I just said, maybe I do. No, no, I think it goes on both ways. So, yeah.
Get some more nectar.
Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, yeah, I guess you could say it triggers, but at the same time, it makes sense, unfortunately. So that's kind of, and it's interesting that we're talking about this because it relates back to a lot of the points that came up for me during Brielle's talk. So it's timely for me to hear it. So that's it.
Yeah, I think if I hadn't given that talk yesterday, then, or if I hadn't looked into this before, this would have been like the most triggering purport ever. But because of that class and like my understanding of, I mean, I actually agree with everything he's saying. So
You love it even after like a year of because yesterday you did relate that you went through like a year of introspection and looking inside and into the philosophy, and you did say that you grew up from being triggered by things like that, but you would say that still, even after that, if you would not give the class yesterday, you would be still quite triggered by this purport.
No, I think I stopped being triggered like sometime in the past year when I like really took an honest look at how like I'm not like when I'm being a woman and not a Vaishnavi, like I'm not trustworthy. And that's so true. And that's like very obvious that like, yeah, just like when women are not valuing themselves, they can't be trusted. But the part of this that hurt was the second to last sentence. As soon as a woman is exploited by a man, she becomes a common prostitute. That was hard for me to hear.
Yeah, it's hard for you to hear how Prabhupada is, you know.
It's a painful experience for you in your life.
What were you gonna say, Ramachandra?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to reflect on that perhaps you're experiencing how Prabhupada, he wants to give shelter to so many women, but they unable or resistant to Prabhupada because, you know, they're all the men that are seducing, are provoking women in different ways to invoke this. Prabhupada was speaking about kamis, the natural lust propensity that a woman has, or it turns into lust when this nectar, when this pleasure potency is not really preserved, is not kept. So maybe, I don't know, that's what's going on for you, not sure.
It's more that like I've definitely been exploited. So it's like if what he's saying is true, then that means I'm a common prostitute. And that's painful to digest. So yes, that's my response.
Yeah. As
I think George wants to say something. Yes, George?
He can share. I think he was first.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess from the man's honest perspective, attempt at an honest perspective, is that I've also heard, like in these classes, men and women dynamic. As you were saying yesterday, the women make advancement by being submissive or being subservient, and the men make advancement by cooperating. You know, and definitely you can see how they're all like clamoring over each other to get what they want here. And yeah, I've noticed this is like a big thing, like on the job sites, for example. You got a bunch of guys there and they're trying to get something done, and everybody wants to jump in and be the man, the shot caller, and it's just so annoying and drama, like it just wanting to show off and be the center of attention. And And then, yeah, so yeah, there is definitely this very strong impulse, subtle impulse to exploit women and to take advantage of their soft-hearted nature, to impress them and undermine their chastity, so we can enjoy them, and that, yeah, and that becomes a pretty big competition too, like pretty stressful. It's actually quite it's really agitating. Like really, it just makes you so angry and paranoid and conniving and duplicitous, and it's really not, it's not fun. Like, it's kind of exciting in a sense, you know, but it's the promise of getting to do something, or like getting that moment to like show the other guy up, or like to be the one, to get to be appreciated by her, so she'll give me some little burst of feminine energy or something like that, and I get to win over on the guy. But it's really actually like it's such a frustrating, angry, like it's such a negative energy, like, yeah. So yeah, we have that propensity also, and it's not
By
not
we,
nice.
what do you mean by we?
Men. I'm
Men,
talking.
okay.
I'm talking from the man's standpoint, like trying to balance out this situation, because it's not. Yeah, men do become quite low class pigs, and trying to do these things and give up our morality, and we become really manipulative, and so yeah, it's like I'm just trying to point out this is the things that I've seen in my life from my experience of kind of like being a super passive person, that, you know, that I've seen these, I've done these things, and I've seen them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
If you don't mind me reflecting on what you're saying, like I hear, thank you for sharing your personal insight, and like it's really impressed me how you dove into the men's role, and from your experience I could hear how you perceived, or maybe perceive, how men, they're trying to compete for attention of a woman, or just compete in general for job, and we're speaking about workplace.
Yeah.
And it triggers you because like I usually like to think when something triggers me, it's kind of the mirror exercise that we had in the advanced course, that maybe that triggers me because this something reminds me of my own personal motivations, and my own personal unfulfilled desires.
Well, I mean, actually, quite honestly, in my life, because of this situation with my mind, because I'm so shut down and withdrawn in myself, it kind of like, it really inhibited my capacity to do these things, because my intelligence just wasn't working so much. So
You don't think to that extent?
No, I mean, it's been, I had a girlfriend when I was 16, and I was seeing a girl 10 years ago for 2 months. And I've never really been into chasing after girls and stuff like that. And I've been so passive that I never really, passive and weak-minded, that I never had the mental energy to even try to get into this competition with guys and stuff. So,
Hey Krishna, I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you think we can go back to like the transcendental topics? I feel like we're getting a little bit like off the essence of like what this verse is about. I'm not that I'm not interested in your story. I just really want to have spiritual time right now.
yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll read more. My turn to read?
George, you wanted to share something? If you feel like sharing, still you're welcome.
Yeah, I do want to. I do want to share as an alternate perspective. I know that we mentioned a lot about soft-heartedness yesterday. I don't know. Maybe we can have an email later about where Prabhupada mentions that. But the alternate perspective is that we're all prostitutes. Men exploit women, women exploit men, women exploit women, men exploit men. And I feel that in many ways, like prostitute is also a function in society, like it's a profession. I know one of the other classes we have spoken about, Krishna went to a town, and one of the, I don't know, I think my understanding, and I could be mistaken because I have no knowledge. Yeah, I think she was a devotee and a prostitute somehow. And so, yeah, I feel like this tendency to exploit, that's why we're here, right? Like we want to lord over material energy. And so in many ways that happens by objectifying things and people, animals, everything in between. So I do find that the notion of becoming exploited, I think it's a shared human experience. And personally, I've met many soft-hearted men, soft-hearted women, and everything in between. So I think when reading this verse, it is of course triggering for me in many ways, but also just kind of stepping out and seeing like in a bigger picture. It's this idea that like men can be beautiful and elegant, and women can be strong and beautiful, and everything in between. It's there are many beautiful men, many beautiful women, and the attraction I feel like is very prevalent throughout because we are entangled here, and we are here to just enjoy for material sense enjoyment. So I think that's kind of just my perspective of as far as exploitation. And this verse that brings up for me is there's a potency of attraction among both sexes, among both looks, and to the degree that we are looking to exploit and looking to enjoy separate from Krishna, we are being prostitutes, we are exploiting each other. I find that that is a shared experience of having taken advantage, feeling like we've taken advantage based on material sense enjoyment of these physical bodies. Yeah, that's my sharing.
Thank you, Bhakti George.
Based on some of what I've overheard, Hare Krishna. I guess, just to follow up on that, what George shared. The idea is spirit, soul, having a human experience. So to the extent that we misidentify the self with the human experience, then there's going to be lack of trustworthiness, there's going to be dark qualities. And if we look at Bhagavatam and Vedas, Prabhupada's teachings, there's also verses like Swavid Baha, Ustra Karera, Samsutta, Pusha Parsha, Kara. Like there's verses that talk specifically about a spirit, soul, and a male human body who's not being and acting like a Vaishnava. The verse reads, men who are like dogs, pigs, camels, and asses.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, meaning like, and it specifically talks about the male psychology that's not devotional. And so there are men who are asses, men who are like dogs, men who are like pigs, men who are like camels, and Prabhupada describes it like that. And I always say that I find that verse sexist because I know women who are like pigs and asses too, so it's not fair. And that's true, like, like, so spiritual could be in a man's body or a human's body with whatever psychology. And we might have qualities that are more tend to be associated with the feminine dark side or the masculine dark side or the feminine light side or the masculine light side. But just to give some balance, there are verses that specifically describe the dark, shadowy side of spirit soul, of the subtle body of spirit souls in male human experiences. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for reflecting on this verse. Oops. Yeah, I appreciate Brielle's input to go forward and keep it transcendental. I was just kind of curious to see what's going on for you, and like my highlighting Krishna consciousness always comes when there are some not contradictions, but like controversy. And yeah, this dynamic between men and women certainly is one of these big controversies in the philosophy. Kim, I think you number 3, right? You number 1 on the internet.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah.
You run.
Okay. Hopefully I'm on the right verse.
Okay,
10.
yeah, we can chant the Sanskrit together. Salva vikranam shritanam svananim shura devisha shakyani ahur anyatani nutyam vichanatvam. Text number 10.
Okay. Translation. O demons, as monkeys, jackals, and dogs are unsteady in their sexual relationship and want newer and newer friends every day, women who live independently seek new friends daily. Friendship with such a woman is never permanent. This is the opinion of learned scholars.
I don't know if I would read this chapter if I would remember that there's so many things here. I read this chapter only once in my life, so I apologize. But Mohini Murti, maybe she wants to tell us something here as spirit souls. Shri Shuka Uvacha iti tek shivatistasya ashvatsa manaso shuraha jasur bhava gambhiram dadus chamrita bhajanam. Chamrita. Who had Charamrita in the last month here?
Sri Swami continued. After the demons heard the words of Mohini Murti, who had spoken as if jokingly, they were all very confident. They laughed with gravity, and ultimately they delivered the container of nectar into her hands.
Oh my God.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead in his form of Mohini was certainly not joking, but talking seriously with gravity. The demons, however, being captivated by Mohini Murti's bodily features, took her words as a joke and confidently delivered the container of nectar into her hands. Thus, Mohini Murti resembles Lord Buddha, who appeared.
Today, not tomorrow, Buddha's appearance day. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
To cheat the Asuras. The word Suradvisham refers to those who are envious of the demigods or devotees. Sometimes an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cheats the atheists. Thus, we see here that although Mohini Murti was speaking factually to the Asuras took her words to be facetious. Indeed, they were so confident of Mohini Murti's honesty that they immediately delivered the container of nectar into her hands, as if they would allow her to do with the nectar whatever she liked, whether she distributed it, threw it away, or drank it herself without giving it to them.
Sounds like you're appreciating Prabhupada's humorous mood here.
Well, I'm appreciating like Krishna's trickster propensity.
Yeah, then there's so many pastimes like that. Either Lord Buddha, whose appearance day actually gonna be, I never remember if it's the day before Narasimhadev or after. I'm not sure, but one of these days it's coming. And yeah, as Lord Buddha, Krishna appeared in his opulence as the most intelligent. In a Sanskrit, there in the mantra of 1 canto, 3rd chapter, 21st verse, Samho Yasura Dvisham, something. He appears as Buddha. Buddhi means intelligence. So who can compete with God when he comes to, defeat you with his intelligence? Or who can compete God when he comes as the most beautiful woman? I mean, Radharani too, she's like a direct expansion, but she's, from my understanding, she's like the Shakti Tattva. She's not Vishnu Tattva. But here, Vishnu Tattva comes directly as a woman. So one of the feminine qualities is beauty, and who can compete with that? Even Lord Shiva, there is a beautiful pastime. If some of you maybe recollect, we kind of mentioned that yesterday after the class, how Shiva, he was, running after Mohini. Shiva, he was sitting in solitude and meditating on Krishna. He was sitting and chanting Hare Krishna. And then Krishna came and he challenged him. Are you sure you're that like big celibate and nothing can move you? And and Shiva was like convinced. Yeah, I'm strict and no, nothing can allure me. And I think so. Okay, I'm a bit doubtful about the beginning now. But anyways, the main point of the pastime is that Krishna did challenge him, and he appeared as a woman, as Mohini Murti. There's a beautiful painting. Maybe I can pull it out from my library. How Mohini was playing with a ball, with a basketball or volleyball or volleyball or something like that. And oh, here I found it! Yay! Let me share the screen. And yeah, he appeared in this beautiful form, and you can see the little ball there. Looks like a grapefruit or orange juice, orange to me. And Shiva, he was so moved that he was running after Mohini across the whole universe and literally passing semen, like while he was running after her. And Shiva, he didn't even pass semen when his wife Parvati was playing with his, like, I'm a bit explicit here, but she was literally playing with his genitals while he was meditating on Krishna, and he wasn't moved by her. And Parvati is actually Radharani in her other, like, more dark form, Durga Devi or Kali, like that. He wasn't moved by, but he was moved simply by looking at how Mohini was rolling the ball, to the other side of the universe. And yeah, that's kind of what I remember reading.
Can you send that photo to us after the class?
Yes, I will. Yeah. There was a third point that kind of came up to me, but maybe something comes to you, George, Kim, Brielle, or Dinkleberry? Dinkleberry, yeah. It's a cool name. I like the name. If not, we can just continue with Baxter George.
This is text 12.
Oh yeah, let's read the Sanskrit, I guess. This is a 14-syllable mantra. It's the only melody I know. It's the Brahma Samhita, right? You mentioned that in the last time. How the Brahma Samhita goes, I blacked out. Tato Kitvam Varta Bajanam Hari Babasya Ishat Samhita Subhakira Yada Abha Itam Kavacha Svadha Sadhuva Sadahuva Kritam Maya Vibaja Sudamimam.
Translation. Thereafter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, having taken possession of the container of nectar, smiled slightly and spoke in attractive words. She said, "My dear demons, if you accept whatever I may do, whether honest or dishonest, then I can take responsibility for dividing the nectar among you." Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot abide by anyone's dictation. Whatever he does is absolute. The demons, of course, were deluded by the illusory propensity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thus, Mohini Murti got them to promise that whatever she would do, they would accept.
Okay, next verse. Iti abhivayat ya hirtam tasya akaranya sura pungadha apramana vidastasya statatya anavartamanasta atonamasmasta. Me, right? I'm reading. The chief of the demons were not very expert in deciding things. Upon hearing the sweet words of Mohini Murti, they immediately assented. Assented. What is assented? Like agreed, I guess. But assented, yes. They answered, what? Yeah, proved. Interesting. They answered, What you have said is all right. Thus the demons agree to accept her decision. Keith, Dr. Keith Prabhu. Atopasya kritatsana utvacha aishvanadam Vago Vikrabhutaya Kritasvakaya Vijaya
Yato Pajosham Yavashamshi
Pradadhyantanyate Kushushu Pravisham Sarve Pragagarvash Abhibhushitaha.
The demigods and demons then observed a fast. After bathing, they offered clarified butter and oblations into the fire and gave charity to the cows and the brahmanas and members of the other orders of society, namely the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, who were all rewarded as they deserved. Thereafter, the demigods and demons performed ritualistic ceremonies under the directions of the brahmanas. Then they dressed themselves with new garments according to their own choice, decorated their bodies with ornaments, and sat facing east on seats made of kusha grass. Purport. The Vedas enjoin that for every ritualistic ceremony, one must first become clean by bathing either in the water of the Ganges or Yamuna or in the sea. Then one may perform the ritualistic ceremony and offer clarified butter into the fire. In this verse, the words paridaya ahatanani are especially significant. A sannyasi or a person about to perform a ritualistic ceremony should not dress himself in clothing sewn with a needle.
Yeah, that's why the classical sannyasis are the people who do ceremonies. They would usually sit like bare-chested, not because it's hot, but because usually, not usually, but the kurta is always there's some stitches, and stitches, it's an impure. It's something that contaminates the fabric. Like in the previous ages, whenever they would wear something, they would throw it away. We were speaking about it in teachings of Queen Kunti in regards to how opulent is Vedic culture. And yeah, like the standard of cleanliness and ritualistic performance is actually so high. Prabhupada just gives us the bare minimum, like honest living and chanting Hare Krishna. It's really, that's what's enough. But if we want to go beyond, there is no limit. And the question for me, it's kind of always the why, because it's such a burden. Like imagine if now you have to chant Gora Artik and you cannot have stitches, whatever. Hare Krishna. Okay, we're getting there. Soon Rahu gonna get his head chopped. Pranukushushpatvishtashu shuryashu dijata dijiteshu cha dhupamatita sadayam justayam bhaga dipyakya tasyam narendra karmo ushtadhu kula shruni tatsla gatir madhavikrash vihavashaki Shakunjati kankan nupa sinjayate na kumbhastani kalasha panir. Is it panir? I'm not sure. Atai vishvashe. I was just thinking to offer Lord Narasimha with some panir. Maybe it's panir. Who is reading now? Kim.
Okay, translation. O king, as the demigods and the demons sat facing east in the arena, fully decorated with flower garlands and lamps and fragrant with the smoke of incense, that woman dressed in a most beautiful sari.
Very beautiful. Highlight.
Her ankle bells tinkling entered the arena, walking very slowly because of her big, low hips. Her eyes were restless due to youthful pride. Her breasts were like water jugs. Her thighs resembled the trunks of elephants, and she carried a water pot in her hand.
Okay. Yes. Tam Shri. Okay, this Tam.
I have a question.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand like why they go into details about, I get that this is Mohini Murti, so this is an incarnation of Krishna and so like her body is transcendental, but like I guess I don't really understand why he goes into detail about like her breast for like water jugs. Like it just seems agitating.
Why it's so illustrative?
Yeah, like why is it so illustrative? Exactly. It's like I get that it's transcendental because it's Krishna, but like I feel like most people are not on that transcendental platform. So like men reading that, I feel like it's agitating. But also maybe it's transcendental, so maybe it purifies the lust of the mind. I don't know.
Yeah, you wonder about this because if we would read that in some like another place in our society, it will be like really disturbing, right?
Yeah.
Like going through social media and seeing something like that for a man, for me at least, it's like a mess for, I don't know, whatever. That's why I don't go there. I don't just hang around social media. But yeah, and it's weird because I mean the process is supposed to purify us, and then the process gives us, oh, look at this, look at here, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Or even the pictures that devotees would illustrate. I mean, there's Rasa Lila, there's so many other things, right? What comes, yes, Kim? I don't know, maybe it's just
Oh, no.
no problem. What comes from me is that, well, first of all, this is like not the first canto, so we a bit jumped 8 stages of realizations that lead to looking at this from a different perspective. And my perception of that you look better to look at the form of Krishna as Mohini Murti or Krishna himself, than like if someone is agitated already, because we are already agitated, we're in the material world. Like the fact, like you said, that someone is agitated because he in visualizing something like that, the agitation is there regardless of Krishna or a woman or this or that. Maya is, Prabhupada says, Maya is inside the heart, it's not outside. And we can find Maya even when we read Bhagavatam, right? If we jump to the 10th canto, then yes, it can create a volcano of that Maya. So first of all, like we have to be kind of see where we at, and if we're ready to hear about that.
Yeah.
And even if we're not ready to hear about it, Prabhupada, many times, we just had that in our Chaitanya Charitamrita group reading in the previous chapter, because the previous chapter we studied, Krishna Kaviraj Das Goswami suddenly brings up Lord Chaitanya's deep feeling of separation and what he experiences and all these ecstatic symptoms, just like in the middle of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. We didn't even get there, like in terms of realization. But it gives that as a hardcore medicine to these intense lusty desires that we feel. Because this is like the real pleasure potency of the soul, to be absorbed in transcendental forms. So Prabhupada, in connection to Rasa Lila, for example, he would give to certain devotees this as a medicine. Okay, if you feel intense lusty desire, you go and you read about the from the Krishna book that Prabhupada gave us, but not indulging. So that's like the fine edge for me, when it becomes like a sense gratification. If someone just reads this particular verse or the particular chapter from the Bhagavatam, then I'm doubtful if it's purifying or putrefying. Putrefying, you say?
Putrefying or purifying. Yeah, I think in Biel's question there was a response, and also in your comments, Ramachandra, there's a response. According to my understanding of Prabhupada, that Prabhupada says specifically about like the chapters in Krishna book about the rasa dance, was it? That's the idea. We're attracted to violence and sex and romance and intrigue. We're attracted to all that, and then if we dovetail it from the mundane cinema and YouTube and whatever it is,
Yeah.
to the Bhagavatam, then we dovetail that attraction, and it becomes the pure form of the soul's attraction to all those things, to ghastliness and beautiful forms and sex and intrigue. And so by reading those things in the Bhagavatam, we get purified. At the same time, just like we said, just following up, confirming. Prabhupada said that if you're reading the chapters, even in Krishna book, guided by Prabhupada, Shukadeva Goswami's words, you're reading the chapters about the rasa dance, you're feeling agitated, Prabhupada said, read something else.
Yeah.
Something else.
Okay.
Yeah, that he specifically said that, and the same applies here. And that if it were, because the idea is we have that material contamination, we dovetail it through reading the Bhagavatam, and it's presented in such a way, that we get purified. But if we're not ready for it, we're getting agitated, then read something else. And I so much appreciate your reading about the Mohini Morty pastime from the 8th canto here on this Ekadashi. I've never done, I don't keep track of what Ekadashi.
Me neither.
So it's good, because wherever we taste Bhagavatam, it's purifying, it's nectar. And there's another principle to read it systematically.
Yeah.
So we can understand that if let's jump into the 8th canto. We're not discouraged from doing it. Hey, today let's read the 8th canto about Brahmadev, about Mohini Morty, great. And if we've not in my systematic reading, I'm on the 2nd canto. There's going to be things there that's kind of like, what? We can, and that's not bad or wrong. We can just expect that and approach it from a spirit of discovery.
Yes.
So it's both. Like Prabhupada wants us to systematically read all his books. At the same time, on a particular day, hey, let's read, on Wednesday we'll read from the 7th canto, Nrsingadev. Today we read, that's fine in the context of systematically, chronologically reading all his books, because there's a rhyme and a reason for that. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I also wanted to respond to, regarding that question, it feels almost appropriate that I guess the description is there, because it's like we're setting this tone where everyone is attracted to this form, and it seems like describing the form, it kind of gives more credence to like, oh yeah, this is what this feature and that feature, and this is why these people would be attracted to it. I don't know, it feels like it's almost more complete in that sense. And I also think different perspectives based on experience. Like I think somebody who has seen hundreds or thousands of breasts versus no breasts and anywhere in between, I think would have different relations with the verse. But I do find it helpful as far as, these demons are attracted to a form, and not having a description of that form, I feel like would be less complete in a sense. I think it's helpful to know, like, oh, okay, like now I know what they're seeing. It's almost like more immersive, I guess, with having the description there.
Yeah, it's part of the experience of the Bhagavatam as you reflect it. Without that, in a sense, it will not be complete. If we don't know which color of dress Krishna has, so that's like part of that.
Yeah, it's like from like martial arts training. It's like when you're in battle training or whatever, you're being put in a situation that's kind of like a test, and then that like in the fighting and stuff, it's like fear. Fear is a big thing that will disturb you in that situation. So when you go through the training process and learning how to do things in a proper consciousness, then it makes you stronger. You become purified of that fear. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like that, we read something like this, but in the context of Srimad Bhagavatam, you become purified from that being affected by those subject matters.
The adiras, the original, like you can call it sex relationships or desire. It has a place, and when we connect to that place, it actually purifies I think that's what you were trying to express.
Yeah, in relation with like I said, with like training martial arts, you're being put in a a situation that's like fighting. It's not actually fighting, but it's like fighting. And when you learn to go through it in a proper consciousness, then that's how you get trained. You get purified from reacting in an agitated, fearful way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So saying read these things that come in contact with the transcendental teachings that are kind of like touching on the subject of lusty things, then we can become purified of those propensities.
Yes. Thank you. We have chat comment. Oh, okay, Kim. Thank you so much for joining this journey to meet Mohini Murti with us. Yeah, also like a light answer to that, I would say is that it's just simply to make beautiful pictures like the one that I showed you before. I mean, we have to have the inspiration from somewhere. Okay, text 18. The mastery, it's like the 6 Goswamis, I think, no? Tam Shri Shakim Kanaka Kundacharo Karana Nasa Chapo. No, I don't know.
Tam Shri Sakim Kanaka Kandala Karukana
Nasa Kapola Vadanam Paradevatakyam Samikasya Samohi Samita Vakshana Deva Shura Vaganita Satapati Kantam.
Me.
Oh,
Her attractive nose and cheeks and her ears adorned with golden earrings made her face very beautiful. As she moved, her sari's border on her breasts moved slightly aside. When the demigods and demons saw these beautiful features of Mohini Murti, who was glancing at them and slightly smiling, they were all completely enchanted. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks here that Mohini Murti is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a feminine form, and that the goddess of fortune is her associate. This form assumed by the personality of Godhead challenged the goddess of fortune. The goddess of fortune is beautiful, but if the Lord accepts the form of a woman, he surpasses the goddess of fortune in beauty. It is not that the goddess of fortune, being female, is the most beautiful. The Lord is so beautiful that he can excel any beautiful goddess of fortune by assuming a female form.
Jai. Krishna is winning here. Yeah, I think it sort of confirms what I was saying, that it's a different tattva. So actually Krishna is more enhancing what is beauty, not like Lakshmi or Radharani, but as Vishnu tattva, it's much more femininely perfect. I don't know if it's right to say like that, but
Expressive, like it's got the masculine. It's more more expressive.
Text 19, Bhakta George Kim, I think she signed out.
Yes. I also wanted to say I appreciate that line. It says, it is not that the goddess of fortune, being female, is the most beautiful. The Lord is so beautiful that he excels any beautiful goddess of fortune by assuming a female form. I'm reminded of the name Krishna. Krishna is all attractive, which means like it's all attractive. You know, there's no more than all. Text 19. Ashuranam
Sudhadhanam srapanam iva dhuryayam duranayam matvajati drishamasanam nattam vyabhajat achutaha. Bhakta George. We're waiting for you, Prabhu. The nectar is spilling from the pot. We not getting it. Okay, maybe something happened there. It's okay.
I'll read. Demons are by nature crooked like snakes, therefore to distribute a share of the nectar to them was not at all feasible, since this would be as dangerous as supplying milk to a snake. Considering this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who never falls down, did not deliver a share of nectar to the demons. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is said, Sarpa Krura Kala Krura Sarpa Krura Tara Kala. The snake is very crooked and envious, and so also is a person like a demon. Mantras Shadi Vasha Sarpa Kala Kena Nivaryate. One can bring a snake under control with mantras, herbs, and drugs, but an envious and crooked person cannot be brought under control by any means. Considering this logic, the Supreme Personality of Godhead thought it unwise to distribute nectar to the demons.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me how Prabhupada, we just read in one of the morning, like early morning programs about this chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, the transcendental sound vibration, right? Prabhupada's on chanting pamphlet. He explains how to chant, and then at the end he mentions that the chanting should not be heard from the lips of a non-devotee. It's actually it's a translation to a verse by Rupa Goswami. Let's see if I can remember it. Harikatamritam punyava shradava kartavyam strapochishta tato jataha. I don't remember the last line, but the meaning is that if you hear about even this pure harikatamritam, it can cause death, can cause the opposite effect, just like milk, which is very nutritious by itself. If it's given to the snake, if a snake just touches that, it's poisonous. And if the snake takes that, he becomes more poisonous. Yes. Confirmation. Thank you. So if you like George, you can continue. I don't know if you're there, or Kim, or whoever is first.
Yeah, Kim can go. Kim can go. She wants. I have to turn my laptop on. Sorry, it died halfway through that as I started to read that verse. I apologize.
So Kim, she can read. Kalpai pantir ubhyashitam jagat patya tams chapa vishvashyamasa sveshu cha panketchu.
Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Mohini Murti, the Master of the Universe, arranged separate lines of sitting places and seated the demigods and the demons according to their positions.
Daityam grita kalashu vanchak yanam apashnacharya durastan payayamasa jara mirtyu haram sudham. Back to George. Are you ready?
Yes. Taking the container of nectar in her hands, she first approached the demons, satisfied them with sweet words, and thus cheated them of their share of the nectar. Then she administered the nectar to the demigods, who were sitting at a distant place, to make them free from invalidity, old age, and death. Purport. Mohini Murti, the personality of Godhead, gave the demigods seats at a distance. Then she approached the demons and spoke with them very graciously, so that they thought themselves very fortunate to talk with her. Since Mohini Murti had seated the demigods at a distant place, the demons thought that the demigods would get only a little of the nectar, and that Mohini Murti was so pleased with the demons that she would give the demons all the nectar. The words Vanchayan Apashan Charaya indicate that the Lord's whole policy was to cheat the demons simply by speaking sweet words. The Lord's intention was to distribute the nectar only to the demigods.
Yeah, I want to kind of reach the part where Rahu chops his head, where Mohini chops Rahu's head. Okay, but if anyone wants to share, you're welcome to burst into the discussion. te palayanta samayatyam ashuryasva kritam nirpa toshni masna ashan krita sneha Sri Vivdha Jagupasya. O king, since the demons had promised to accept whatever the woman did, whether just or unjust, now to keep this promise, to show their equilibrium and to save themselves from fighting with the woman, they remained silent. This is so good. Tasya kritatim pranamyaha paranaya paya kritaha kataraha bahumanena chabhadha nachum kinchina vipriyam. Back to Keith, bro.
The demons had developed affection for Mohini Murti and a kind of faith in her, and they were afraid of disturbing their relationship. Therefore, they showed respect and honor to her words and did not say anything that might disturb her their friendship with her. Purport. This is that verse where it says that men become the dancing dog and the woman of and the hands of women. This is it how. The demons were so captivated by the tricks and friendly words of Mohini Murti that although the demigods were served first, the demons were pacified merely by sweet words. The Lord said to the demons, the demigods are very miserly and are excessively anxious to take the nectar first. So let them have it first. Since you are not like them, you can wait a little longer. You are all heroes and are so pleased with me. It is better for you to wait until after the demigods drink.
Deva linga pratishchanaha svarbhanur deva samsadi pravichtaha somamapi bach chandra rakpayam char suchitaha. Bhakti Brielle.
Rahu, the demon who causes eclipses of the sun and moon, covered himself with the dress of a demigod and thus entered the assembly of the demigods and drank nectar without being detected by anyone, even by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The moon and the sun, however, because of permanent animosity toward Rahu, understood the situation. Thus Rahu was detected. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mohini Murti, was able to bewilder all the demons, but Rahu was so clever that he was not bewildered. Rahu could understand that Mohini Murti was cheating the demons, and therefore he changed his dress, disguised himself as a demigod, and sat down in the assembly of the demigods. Here one may ask why the Supreme Personality of Godhead could not detect Rahu. The reason is that the Lord wanted to show the effects of drinking nectar. This will be revealed in the following verses. The moon and sun, however, were always alert in regard to Rahu. Thus, when Rahu entered the assembly of the demigods, the moon and sun immediately detected him, and then the Supreme Personality of Godhead also became aware of him.
There's some interesting. It's interesting how God, Krishna, is not aware of something. Yeah, happens to everyone. Yeah, we're almost there.
I'm appreciating like God is the light of the moon and the light of the sun. Appreciating that thought that God is the moon and the sun also. At the same time of reading like the purport, it's so interesting the distinction that's being made here.
Amongst what Krishna says in one of the chapters, their 10th chapter, right? Something like that. My eye, like I see through the sun and the moon. Oh boy, I need to read Bhagavad Gita again. And I'm taking you to the 8th canto. Yeah. Okay, text 25. We're almost there. Chakrena kshurad dharana jara pabitaha shariha haristasya havastastu shudhaya palavito patat. Back to George.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, using his disc, which was sharp like a razor, at once cut off Rahu's head. When Rahu's head was severed from his body, the body, being untouched by the nectar, could not survive. Purport. When the Personality of Godhead, Mohini Murti, severed Rahu's head from his body, the head remained alive, although the body died. Rahu had been drinking nectar through his mouth, and before the nectar entered his body, his head was cut off. Thus, Rahu's head remained alive, whereas the body died. This wonderful act performed by the Lord was meant to show that nectar is miraculous ambrosia.
Text 26. Shirastu amritam nityam ajoga griham achi klipat yastu pravani chandrikav abhidvati variradehi Kim.
Rahu's head, however, having been touched by the nectar, became immortal. Thus, Lord Brahma accepted Rahu's head as one of the planets. Since Rahu is an eternal enemy of the moon and the sun, he always tries to attack them on the nights of the full moon and the dark moon. Since Rahu had, purport. Since Rahu had become immortal, Lord Brahma accepted him as one of the grahas, or planets, like the moon and the sun. Rahu, however, being an eternal enemy of the moon and sun, attacks them periodically during the nights of the full moon and the dark moon.
Yeah, maybe Prabhupada will speak about it, but that's actually the eclipse. The moon, according to Vedic astronomy, cosmology, is not a satellite. It's not a hovering ball of dust like they portray it. I mean, that's how they taught me in school. It's actually it's much bigger than the moon, than the sun even, and it's further than the sun. And then many scientists, they say, well, wait a second, how about the eclipse? The eclipse is the casting of the planet, of the sun and the earth, and so this is nicely explained by another planet, which is there, and is not there when it's not perceivable when there is no relation between the moon and the sun. And very scientific. And it's a big head of a demon, right? Everyone highlighted that. I don't remember who's Ketu though, because there is Rahu.
That's his body.
And that's his body, Ketu. Okay, Ketu and Rahu. Okay, next verse, 27. Pita priye mirta davir bhagavan loka bhavana shaitam ashur nidranam shvam rupam jagre hari. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the best friend and well-wisher of the three worlds. Thus, when the demigods had almost finished drinking the nectar, the Lord, in the presence of all the demons, disclosed his original form. Oh my God. Evam sharusha ganas samadeshakala hetuv atrakama matyu pipalavik vikalpa tatra mirtyam Shuta gana palam agyashpur yatpada pankaja raja sharyanamna dita.
The place The time, the cause, the purpose, the activity, and the ambition were all the same for both demigods and demons. But the demigods achieved one result and the demons another. Because the demigods are always under the shelter of the dust of the Lord's feet, the Lord's lotus feet, they could very easily drink the nectar and get its result. The demons, however, not having sought shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, were unable to achieve the results they desired. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 4:11, it is said, Ye yata mam prapadante tansthataiva bhajamyaham. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Judge who rewards or punishes different persons according to their surrender unto his lotus feet. Therefore, it can actually be seen that although karmis and bhaktas may work in the same place at the same time, at the same energy, with the same ambition, they achieve different results. The karmis transmigrate through different bodies in the cycle of birth and death, sometimes going upward and sometimes going downward, thus suffering the results of their actions in the karma chakra, the cycle of birth and death. The devotees, however, because of fully surrendering at the lotus feet of the Lord, are never baffled in their attempts. Although externally they work almost like karmis, the devotees go back home, back to Godhead, and achieve success in every effort. The demons or atheists have faith in their own endeavors, but although they work very hard day and night, they cannot get any more than their destiny. The devotees, however, can surpass the reactions of karma and achieve wonderful results, even without effort. It is also said, Phalena parichate. One success or defeat in any activity is understood by its result.
Judged by the fruits. But sometimes translates it like judged by the fruits. I did want to kind of reflect a little bit on this small portion about karma, because it's so sometimes bewildering how devotees are engaged in something that looks like karma. Like Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita gives an example of what is real sannyasi. Krishna, he explains that real sannyasi means one who is not attached to the work or the fruits of his action, not one who refrains from action. And Prabhupada, I mean, that was the main spirit of the movement, is like, what you doing with your life? Like, why you letting out so many beautiful things that Krishna gave you? You engage it and, get money, get prosperity, get following, get, all these different things, and engage that fully. And like, why it sort of came to me, because many times, like I heard it in Vrindavan, like so many times, like when I would go there, people would kind of they would criticize sometimes me and others for like doing books, that, oh, you're doing books and you're getting money. Oh, Prabhu, it's so much karma. You're going to have to remain here in the material world. But bhakti is something much, much more internal than I'm sitting and I'm chanting Hare Krishna. There's this song, Dustamana, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Dustamana, the malicious or something about the mind, restless mind that, this devotee sits and chants Hare Krishna, but his mind is engaged in karma. So karma actually is inside the heart. It's not outside, just like we're speaking about Maya. And bhakti, on the other hand, it's the most fine, delicate quality that drives everything materially, drives everything to material. We cannot do anything without this pleasure potency. So the more we increase that by Shraddha, Tato, Satsanga, Bhajana Kriya, Ananta Nevriti, we can actually, we don't have to take any external thing to feel more bhakti or whatever. We actually, in devotional service, although we might be looking as karma yogis or some other dhyani yogis, or Krishna says there's no difference between one who considers difference between karma and sankhya or bhakti yogi or something like that. He is in ignorance. Krishna mentions that in the 3rd chapter. Anyways, just something that came up to me. I don't think you finished the paragraph, but perhaps if you like, you can finish the paragraph and next one can read.
Yeah.
Because it's a long.
There are many karmis in the dress of devotees, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead can detect their purpose. The karmis want to use the property of the Lord for their selfish sense gratification, but a devotee endeavors to use the Lord's property for God's service. Therefore, a devotee is always distinct from the karmis, although the karmis may dress like devotees, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 3:9. Yagyartha karmano yatra loko yam karma bandhana. One who works for Lord Vishnu is free from the material world, and after giving up his body, he goes back home, back to Godhead. A karmi, however, although externally working like a devotee, is entangled in his non-devotional activity, and thus he suffers the tribulations of material existence. Thus, from the result achieved by the karmis and devotees, one can understand the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who acts differently from the karmis and jnanis than the devotees. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita says,
Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Athavaya Shanti Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Shakinash.
The karmis who desire sense gratification, the jnanis who aspire for the liberation of merging into the existence of the Supreme, and the yogis who seek material success and mystic power are all restless, and ultimately they are baffled. But the devotee who does not accept any personal benefit, and whose only ambition is to spread the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is blessed with all the auspicious results of Bhakti Yoga without hard labor.
Done. So it's past 9:30. If someone would like to share some conclusive.
I have a question.
Yes, Bhaktin Briya.
I think I remember reading somewhere that someone who is engaged in their work, like in the material world, but is doing it in a mood of bhakti yoga, like basically karma yoga and Krishna consciousness, that person is more elevated than someone who's completely renounced.
Yeah, there's a letter like that.
Yeah.
There's a letter where Prabhupada, he addresses this issue because devotees in a temple, they would usually think, oh, I'm so surrendered, I wear saffron and I don't need to go to work. But the karma yogis, they have to give. Prabhupada says at least 50% you give from your hard-earned labor, literally from your blood, towards Krishna consciousness. So especially in Kali Yuga, Prabhupada, I can relocate that letter and perhaps add it to the picture that you asked to everyone. That especially in Kali Yuga, it's a much more often the karma yogi is much more advanced spiritually than someone who just renounce everything out of like a toxic relationship with karma.
Yeah.
Karma still is in the heart, again, like we said.
There's only one more verse. Maybe we should just read it.
We almost there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. It's one last verse. Please.
Will you read the Sanskrit?
Right. We're gonna try. Oh my God. Is it? I think it's the Brahma Samhita, eh? Yad yutyate savasho karma mano vacho no.
Yadyuchate
Vasu karma mano vachavir deha tamajadisho nirvishatat ashat prakatavat ta'ir eva sadbhavati yat krite pat pritakvat sarvasyata bhavati mula nishchascham nam yat.
In human society, there are various activities performed for the protection of one's health and life by one's words, one's mind, and one's actions, but they are all performed for one's personal or extended sense gratification with reference to the body. All these activities are baffled because of being separate from devotional service. But when the same activities are performed for the satisfaction of the Lord, the beneficial results are distributed to everyone, just as water poured on the root of a tree is distributed throughout the entire tree. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is the distinction between materialistic activities and activities performed in Krishna consciousness. The entire world is active, and this includes the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and the bhaktas. However, all activities except those of the bhaktas, the devotees, end in bafflement and a waste of time and energy. Can you read the Sanskrit?
Mogasya moga karmano moga jnana vichintasa.
If one is not a devotee, his hopes, his activities, and his knowledge are all baffled. A non-devotee works for his personal sense gratification, or for the sense gratification. A non-devotee works for his personal sense gratification, or for the sense gratification of his family, society, community, or nation. But because all such activities are separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are considered asat. The word asat means bad or temporary, and sat means permanent and good. Activities performed for the satisfaction of Krishna are permanent and good, but a sat activity, although sometimes celebrated as philanthropy, altruism, nationalism, this ism or that ism, will never produce any permanent result and is therefore all bad. Even a little work done in Krishna consciousness is a permanent asset and is all good because it is done for Krishna, the all-good Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is everyone's friend. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only enjoyer and proprietor of everything. Can you read the Sanskrit?
Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvalokam maheshwaram.
Therefore, any activity performed for the Supreme Lord is permanent. As a result of such activities, the performer is immediately recognized.
Nacha tasmat manusheshu kachime priya kritama.
Such a devotee, because of full knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is immediately transcendental, although he may superficially appear to be engaged in materialistic activities. The only distinction between materialistic activity and spiritual activity is that material activity is performed only to satisfy one's own senses, whereas spiritual activity is meant to satisfy the transcendental senses of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By spiritual activity, everyone factually benefits, whereas by materialistic activity, no one benefits, and instead one becomes entangled in the laws of karma. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled "The Lord Incarnates as Mohini Murti."
Jai Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
So now we know the real purpose of Ekadashi, at least me. I completely forgot about this pastime. Wow. So many revelations, especially at the end, of who is a devotee versus who is a demon. And I have a whole folder about that in my compilation, like on compilation section on my computer. But I thought to share, like to ask you to pick a quote from that. But before that, I just wanted to ask if someone would like to step forward and share what's happening for them.
So I feel like every time that I endeavor so hard without having a clear focus on Krishna, I just struggle so hard. I just struggle so hard. The smallest thing can feel like such a mountain to do when I'm so bound by my personal interests, and this is very present with me right now. So I'm very grateful to you all for reading with me, and I will be going back and reading these last 2 verses again, because I can just speak from so much personal experience that even if I'm not necessarily like going at it, oh, let me get sense gratification, but if I'm not thinking about Krishna as I'm doing it, or like how can I increase Krishna's bliss by doing this? If I'm not like having awareness, I would say the struggle is just so profound for me. It's almost like crippling and so stressful. So I'm really appreciating these last 2 verses with you all. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Bhakta George, for showing this vulnerable side of how you experience this verse. Like, it sounds to me like you you feel a bit struggle of like how much determined you to please Krishna, but you do want to please Krishna. That's in the core of your heart. It's in the core of your desire, really. And yeah, there's a lot of things we can tap into in these last few verses to sort of distinguish like what of what I do in my devotional service, which sometimes just seems as devotional service, but like internally maybe it's not devotional service, and how to make it more and more steady, more purified, to really give it to Krishna and let him be the enjoyer and the Purusha. Yeah, enjoyer. Yeah, that's kind
Yeah,
of.
I'm feeling like such a karmi right now, and it's not like a bad, like good or bad kind of thing. I'm just feeling so like I keep missing it, But Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's a very subtle point. It's a very subtle point. Difference between karma, jnana, yoga, like mystic yoga, and like this verse Bhakti Keith Prabhu read in the previous purport. No one can be peaceful. So this is still like an indication for me, like someone is really peaceful and contained and satisfied in his service and how he serves and his attitude. And it can take to, I think, externally, like for me, like this whole chapter is sort of like, it points out how not external Krishna consciousness, even in practice, is. And because it can take so many external ways in our mind that will tell us, oh, you are a devotee, or you are very devoted, or the other extreme, you're not devoted, you a karmi, or you this, or you that, you're a demon, But actually, in one sense, I think in the next chapter or somewhere there, Prabhupada specifies that Rahu, he became a devotee because he was touched by Krishna, although he had a really, really strong materialistic desire. And it just, to me, it shows how, regardless where we at, we should just do our best to get in touch with Krishna, either because of our, greed or lust or all these degraded feelings or activities that we experience. Krishna, he knows how to. He is like the master, right? The master of all the masters. So he knows how to arrange it in a purifying way. In the Krishna book, in this pastime, I think George, he mentioned of Kubja. Kubja, she approached Krishna for lusty feelings, and Prabhupada mentioned something very interesting in the. It's not a purport, it's just the verse. How if someone approaches Krishna with lusty desires, he makes sure that he gives them a way how to act on that lusty desire in a way that he's not going to be interested in that anymore. So, like for me, the greatest example is family life, or a step further, we can take it as someone wants to be the leader, like the man, right? You were reflecting on the man that wants to be recognized or be the center. So Krishna consciousness is, Lord Chaitanya says, yeah, you be the center. Krishna Upadesh, Amara Agyana Guru Hataidesh. This is Lord Chaitanya's movement. Yes, you be the guru. But you be a bona fide representative of the philosophy, and that's how you get this purification and reconnection to what is really bhakti, what is Krishna consciousness. How not being in Krishna consciousness with all these desires, it's such a burden. Hare Krishna.
I appreciate that very much. Danielle and I were just kind of joking the other day about family life that you mentioned. It's like you have very, very much less desire. It's like, because I get married, have children, like experience the experience, and then yeah, it's good.
Yes, this is the antidote and the process in the same time.
That's it.
Hare Krishna. It's interesting that we're reading this today because I just entered a new yearly chart, and Rahu is in my ascendant in this year. So Rahu's like in my first house, which is why I'm either going to be like teaching a lot of Rakshasas or losing myself in their association. And so it's just so interesting that on the first day we read about the story of Rahu.
Yeah, I can very much relate to that. I'm in major Rahu period, and Rahu is in like one of my main houses. So yeah, that's what I do in life.
And I'm wondering, like, what's the takeaway for me with this, what we read? And I think what stands out to me most is, like, I'm thinking of Mohini Murti and how beautiful she is and how she uses that beauty to charm the demons, and like, really it's to serve them ultimately, because she wouldn't be serving them by giving them the nectar. And so it's like I can draw from that, like using like my whatever good qualities I have to teach people, bring them closer to Krishna, to serve them.
Yeah, in the same time, Prabhupada, he always emphasized, like, you yesterday gave the lecture about chastity and shyness and how to do it in a safe way. Like, why Prabhupada, there's like another like triggering thing about women's issues in Prabhupada's philosophy, that Prabhupada, he says, even the sun should not see a woman. She should be covered from bottom to top. And there is a lot of sense to that too, because men, they pollute women not just by what they, like the activity, they pollute women just by glancing in the lustful way. So Prabhupada, he would always, I'm putting it forward because there's a lot of instruction that are guarding and sheltering in his teachings, especially for women in regards to Sankirtan. And that's what I actually remember what I wanted to mention, that women there's a portion in the Bhagavatamrita that women in Kali Yuga, no one's gonna trust a brahmachari or a man in the garb of a spiritual mendicant. And Lord Chaitanya predicted that the women, they're gonna be a better Sankirtan performers than men, because they naturally trusted. And Kali Yuga, everyone is like 99.9%, everyone is from the Rakshasa side, from the demons. So yeah, but I think Prabhupada, he would like all the women to handle it in great care and attention, respect, intention, and humility. These were the last 3 words Prabhupada used in his books, and I think it's relevant to all of us. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, George.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Mohini Murti ki jai. Rahuji ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gora Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Ekadasi was yesterday, right? Not today.
Yeah, that's like a weird. We in between ourselves. Dhira followed it yesterday. I take prasadam every day. I take Ekadashi every day, anyways. But on my calendar, I follow the Chaitanya Math, the Gaudiya Math calendar, and there something about the Ekadashi is on Dvadashi because of some utsaha or something like that. So I don't know. I usually just follow the Gaudiya Math calendar. That's something nice that I think we should work on in the community on like one calendar. Prabhupada, he really emphasized that in many letters, like why there are all these calendars. Like even the calendar that ISKCON uses, it's according to the moon phases, and Prabhupada didn't like it actually. He didn't like that one place celebrates something and another day, and up until this day, it's actually in Vrindavan, it's a joke when sometimes, I'm sorry to put ISKCON down, whatever, I like ISKCON very much, but many times it happens once in 4 or 3 years that ISKCON celebrates Janmashtami a day before or after, and everyone in Vrindavan like laughs about the Westerners. What are they doing?
Yeah.
Because of this, there's no specific adjustment in the calendar. Prabhupada,
So why do you follow Gaudiya Math? Why do you follow Gaudiya Math calendar?
That's what Prabhupada, he told that to Shamasundar in a letter. I can send it to everyone too. That's the third thing. I will have someone probably gonna have to remind me to send all these things. But he asked Shamasundar just to, instead of bothering his mind with astrology now, to go and take it from Gaudiya Math, because they're good astrologers. He said like that, Gaudiya Math, my godbrothers, they're very good astrologers. You just take it from them and save yourself time.
Okay.
And on account of like trying to do it ourselves, themselves, they started, developing all these systems of the tithis and this and that, and every time it falls like on a different day, and we cannot celebrate things together many times. So it's weird.
Thank
So
you
yeah,
for
that'll be something nice to work on to get like one calendar, at least for us, for the Sattva community. Danielle, actually, she was asking me that too. George is not here anymore, and I didn't know which calendar to send her, because I mean, I follow the Gaudiya Met, maybe Malini follows the ISKCON, and I think at least doesn't matter which calendar it is, but it would be nice if like on the website or somewhere, or
Yeah,
on
that
the,
would be really great.
yeah.
Hmm.
At least we know Narasimhadev is coming on Wednesday. So we're gonna celebrate that on Wednesday.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Whenever you eat the sweet rice, I hope you